Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Kevin Davis along with James Rowe, back for another edition of And a Foul. We're going to talk about last week's games and then this upcoming week's games. But just to let everybody know, we already talked about the Dallas and Giants game last week, so we're not going to talk about that one. We're just going to talk about the games that happened on Sunday, and we're going to talk about this past game that was on Wednesday or Thursday. So
So we'll start off with Cleveland and the Philadelphia Eagles. Go the direct route of not ESPN. Go the opposite, complete opposite. Because, ESPN will be talking about Tebow and Sanchez and how now Tebow doesn't need to be in New York, and then it'll be flip-flop next week if they lose to the Steelers.
well, yeah, pretty much.
So we're waiting for this dream team to show, and I haven't seen any trace of it.
No, I don't know. It was a bad matchup. Philly never plays good against Cleveland ever, and I just think Michael Vick had a really, really, really poor game. He made really poor decisions.
4 interception.
Well,
You bastard.
I saw two of them. Two of them were actually tipped, but he threw it into triple coverage both times. But he
Holy
just
fuck.
he was just made really, really, really bad decisions, and Cleveland just had a really good game plan against Michael Vick.
Mhm.
But he just needs to get back to playing his game like he used to in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Because this pocket thing.
I feel like he throws way too much now.
It's because he doesn't want everybody to think of him as that scrambler
runner
again, like he used to be.
Mhm.
But the total offensive yards, for Philly in that game was they had 456 yards. It's not like it was a bad game offensively.
It's just when they made the mistakes.
It's just the
of
key
when-
parts of when it was because I think there was two or three turnovers in the red zone.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying that they lost. They did win by a point or whatever. And
But
they
you
did.
can't turn the ball over in the red
You
zone.
cannot. No. And as a Viking fan, learned that the hard way
Oh yeah,
back in '09 when we gave the ball away at least 6 times when we shouldn't have.
because it's like offensively for Cleveland, they did absolutely nothing. They just took advantage off of the the picks.
The
And the
good field
fumbles
position,
and whatever.
That's all it is.
But they played really good defense. I think Cleveland did against Philly.
Mhm.
But Cleveland was a top 10 defense last year.
Yeah.
It's number 9.
Defense for them doesn't really bother me because the defense gets tiring at the end because
Who?
their offense, Cleveland,
Oh, Cleveland.
because
yeah,
their
yeah.
offense has no firepower whatsoever.
Oh no,
I don't think Brandon Whedon is even the answer either.
No. The only thing that's the answer in that offense is T. Richardson.
Yeah. And which this guy he has to explode. He's got to be like Barry Sanders was on Detroit.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard though when
And-
you're in the AFC North when
Yeah,
you
when
have
you
like physical defenses in there.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
that's just how it is. I say that this week though against Baltimore, I think Philly because they're playing at Philly. I
Mhm.
don't think Philly will win, but I think that offense is finally going to come to life.
all right, well, I don't think that it's going to be like a blowout game. Nor will it
Nah,
be.
I say it'll be like a 24-21 or 24.
I was going to go with like 14-13.
Nah, I think.
Only because if Cleveland's defense is good,
Mhm.
and if Baltimore's defense is supposed to be better than that,
Yeah,
there's no reason they should score more than 17 points.
but sometimes though with Baltimore they kind of let up and they are kind of a
They
little
do,
bit
they do.
old. So once it hits the fourth quarter, they're gonna fatigue, and I think they'll just give up that one touch. Like they'll be up 24 to like 13, but they'll give up that one touchdown with like 20 seconds or like 2 minutes left or whatever, because they'll play like a prevent.
Exactly, yeah.
But there's one person that Cleveland doesn't have that Baltimore has, and that's Ray Rice. Ray Rice, honestly, in my opinion, he's a top 3, top 2 back in this league right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just gonna be hard for Philly to stop them without Jason Babin, one of their best pass rushers.
Yes.
But they got D'Amico Ryans, but
D'Amico
that's a good staple for their linebacking core. But
Mhm.
if Ray Rice gets past that middle,
It's
it's
gone.
gone. He's beating anybody.
He's gonna run over Oswald. He's gonna run over
Yeah,
what's his name?
it's pretty much what's gonna
Samuel.
happen.
Is Samuel's still on the team, right?
No, he's not. He went to the Falcons.
Is he on the Falcons?
He went to the Falcons, and then Samuel's on the Falcons. They replaced him, and then they have a whole new secondary besides Asamoah because they got rid of
Straight
Brandon.
like a 4th-round pick.
Because Merriweather, I think, went to.
Merriweather's on the Redskins.
Yeah. Well, no, he was never on the Eagles.
No, Merriweather's
He was
been
on the Bears. He was on the Bears.
Yeah. So, what we're going to talk about now is Atlanta against the Chiefs.
Mhm.
Atlanta had a pretty good offensive showing, I think, especially against a Kansas City defense that's finally healthy and improved and everything.
Mhm.
And I just think that Matt Ryan's actually poised for a really, really good year this year. But he's a good QB. He just when it comes to the playoffs, he's not that great.
Yeah.
So and he's like Romo, where when it comes down to pressure, he's not really that great. So, but Kansas City has a lot of work to do, more than I thought they would.
It's not that they have everything there. They have everything there. It's just their defense and whatnot is it's. I'm not gonna say it's terrible, but it's okay. I mean, it's not as good as what everybody would think it is. But Kansas City, in my mind, they just need it. They need a good quarterback because Matt Castle's not the quarterback for them. He's just not. Bring in Tyler Palko or something. Who cares?
Tyler Palko is even worse.
Yeah, but at least it's a young kid. I mean, it's not like Castle, who's like in his 7th year and only played 2 seasons.
Well, that year with New England was all Belichick, not Castle.
Exactly. No, it's the system that you're in. I mean, Kansas City's system is pretty much now it's going to be running, but Castle likes to throw the ball. But they only got one receiver, and that's Bo. That's it.
Tell you what, though, Julio Jones, that kid is amazing.
Yeah, he's going to be good.
That kid is going to be fantastic for the rest of his career.
I mean, they got him and Roddy White on the same team, and Roddy White's only in his 4th year.
There should be no reason why that team should not score at least 28 points a game with those 2 wideouts.
Yeah.
And a running back like Michael Turner.
And they got a tight end and Tony Gonzalez. Like it's still
there's no reason. I don't care if the rest of the best defense.
It's just on Matt Ryan's hands. Does he make the right decisions at the right times?
But I really think he's actually looking really, really good this year, and I think he actually will improve a lot more than he used to.
What about the Bears and Colts game? What stood out?
Well, the Bears and Colts, to me, that was, again, Bears were going to win that game no matter what.
Yeah.
I was a little bit impressed with Andrew Luck going against the Bears defense. But then again, there was people saying that the Bears were amazing in that game.
No, they're good on paper.
They're good. They're
like
good
Oakland.
on paper.
They're like Oakland. They're good on paper every year, but they can never live up to it.
Exactly. But with the Bears situation is that everyone talks about how great the defense is and everything like that, but they end up versing a rookie QB in Andrew Luck, who still threw for 300-something yards.
It was very similar to Peyton Manning's. When I was looking at it, they said that Peyton Manning in his first game, he had a loss, and so did Andrew Luck. And Peyton Manning threw for 300-something yards. Luck threw for 300-something yards. Peyton Manning had 1 TD, he had 1 TD, and they both had 3 picks, and pretty much identical quarterback rating.
Peyton Manning started his career 1-15, or was that Troy Aikman? I think it was Troy Aikman.
No, Peyton Manning had 2 wins.
Yeah,
he went
was
2-14.
Who won 1-15? That's a legend, apparently.
Troy Aikman.
It was Troy Aikman, right? I thought so. Not that he's that great or anything. Yeah, we're gonna go to because again with the Bears thing, Jay Cutler is not. To me, he's not a top 10 QB.
He sucks.
He's not good.
He shows no emotion whatsoever. He'll throw a bad pass.
He actually did push his offensive lineman, pissed at him and everything last night when I was watching the game.
Because after, the 10th or 15th false start, I think I'd kind of get pretty pissed, too.
Yeah, but the thing with Cutler is he shakes everything, and he's very shaky, and I don't know why that when he throws the ball, when he has perfect protection, he tries to fit the ball in there for no reason.
Just loft it up to Brandon Marshall. That's all you got to do. And by the way, last night he dropped a wide open pass in the end zone.
He did, and I was actually shocked at that for a guy that
He didn't even have a reception until the middle of the 3rd quarter.
He also didn't throw to him as much. I think he threw to him 1 time in the first half. So we're gonna go with the next game, the Jet game. With Tebow Mania and the Sanchez, apparently.
Tebow didn't do anything.
Tebow didn't do anything. We all know Tebow didn't do anything. And don't let the media try to distract you from, it's because of Tebow, that's why Sanchez did good. It's not that, because Tebow had 5 plays. That's all he had.
4 of them were Wildcats.
Yeah. No, all of them were Wildcats, but it's either somebody else ran or he ran. He ran for 11 yards.
Yeah.
So I saw a bunch. I can see a bunch of headlines, especially people who love Tebow more than Sanchez, saying, "Oh, it's because of Tebow. That's why they won." It's really not. Come on, Sanchez stepped up, especially after that first interception, which is on his part, but it's also on the receiver's part as well because he was not expecting the ball. And as a receiver, you're supposed to expect every single ball that is thrown, no matter what. When you're doing a curl coming out, you expect that ball even though the ball's getting thrown on the other side.
Even when you do a curl route, you expect the ball to be at your hands as soon as you turn around. Not while you're
What
turning
I just
around.
said.
Like, no, but I'm making an analogy, like going back to the Bears game last night.
Uh-huh.
Martellus Bennett, he did a curl route, but he was sitting there, and after his curl route, he sat there, waited for the ball, because Jay Cutler didn't even have it gone yet.
Mm-hmm.
He waited. If Bennett were to make an attempt to go back towards the ball, he would have
You
caught
can't
it.
just stay there. You
But he
gotta move
stood
around.
there, and Charles Woodson just went,
Thank you. Yeah.
that's it. I mean, it's bad.
Jay
It's
Cutler
bad
is
on
very-
Jay Cutler, but it's also bad on Bennett for not coming back.
His receivers doesn't help him. Meanwhile, his offensive line does not help him at all. The Green Bay defense is not that great, and for a lot of that Green Bay defense to come in there with 7 sacks is crazy,
And
which is beyond what I thought expected.
but back to the Jets and Bills game. Jets had a really, really good offensive game, like I thought that they would. The Bills, it kind of surprised me a little bit on defense. I thought their defense would have played a little bit better, but not outstanding. And they got like sympathy, like 3 or 4 sympathy touchdowns. That game was 48-7 by the time it hit the fourth quarter. They got 3 or 4 sympathy touchdowns, and
now with
that's it.
What's it called? I don't understand the Jets leaving some starters in during the third quarter. It was like 48-7 or 41-7. Like I'm taking out my defenders as soon as that, especially my good ones.
Yeah.
Because with your offense, you should be able to run that clock down.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need that defense anymore.
Yeah.
But now it costs them because Darrelle Revis is not going to be playing Sunday.
Yeah, Revis isn't going to be playing, and
Keller's not
neither
playing
is
either.
going to be Keller.
No, that Keller's effective anyway.
No, but Keller's
His-
Matt Sanchez. What's it called?
his
His backup plan.
blanket.
Yeah, it's
So,
like
safety.
Heath Miller with Ben Roethlisberger. When he's got nobody to pass to, he's always right there for that 4-yard dump pass.
Mm-hmm.
But I say we go into the next game, which surprised me like a lot. But didn't. Well, one part surprised me, the other part didn't. The part that surprised me was how great St. Louis played in that game against Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
But I was kind of I kind of expected Detroit not to have a good offensive game, just because last year I think that was just a fluke occurrence, because it was just everything was clicking for them. For Detroit, everything was going right.
It's
and
funny.
St. Louis comes out with a chip on their shoulder, going, the Lions. Shit, we're the Rams. Nobody thinks of us as being good either, but let's just go out there.
And Jeff Fisher's also a very good coach, no matter what.
Oh, he's a great coach.
Great
As
coach,
much
great
as I hate
motivator.
because I hated the Titans. He's a great coach.
You know, he's a great coach, great motivator, and he's a guy who could definitely be used for that type of team.
Mm-hmm.
But what Detroit's problem is that, one, they have no defense. We all know that. They have no defense whatsoever. And they're a one-dimension team.
Mm-hmm.
Very one-dimension. And they got to start running the ball a lot more if they want to make that one-dimension work.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you don't have to force feed your running back 45 times.
You establish the run, you open up the door for play action.
Exactly. All right, Collinsworth? But you for like that type of thing, you can't. For the Lions, they know you're going to throw to Calvin Johnson, so you got to go to the other routes. You got to go. You know, someone's got to be single covered, because Calvin Johnson's always double covered.
Yeah.
Possibly triple coverage.
That's when you have either Nate Burleson that's in single coverage, you have Titus Young that's open, and say if like you put Nate Burleson single coverage over on the other side, but you put Titus Young and Calvin Johnson like this, and you have Johnson do like a go route, but you have Titus Young do like a slant route.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely 9 times out of 10, they're going to double cover on Calvin and leave Titus Young open in the middle.
John, let me get that.
That's
I don't know, but with Detroit's problem, like I was watching the Bears-Packers game last night, and they were like, "Oh, Detroit's best in the what's it called, in the division." I'm like, they're not best in the division. Like, don't give me with that.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, because one, Green Bay will destroy them. You saw what Matt Flynn did last year. That's Matt Flynn, not Aaron Rodgers. Matt Flynn. You see when Chicago plays Detroit, Chicago beats them all the time. And there's 2 games last year where Minnesota played Detroit, and both of them should have been wins for Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, when the blown call on the face mask that was not called, and in the first game when Minnesota was up by 20.
Yeah.
There is, I'm not sold on Detroit, and I don't think anybody else should either. John, move the mouse. I don't think anybody should be sold either, because they're really not that great of a team.
Yeah.
They're one-dimension team. Calvin Johnson, Matthew Stafford, boom, done. And if it doesn't work, punt.
Quick
and then
kick.
the defense get killed.
Second
Quick
down,
kick.
quick kick.
So,
But I'm going to go to the next game, and Houston Texans and Dolphins.
okay, that's not even a game.
No. It was the first half. The Dolphins played tremendous defense. They played really good defense in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the second half. I think it was just a home crowd and too much of the Arian Foster.
You mean the first quarter, right?
Well, pretty much.
Because the second quarter, Houston scored 24 unanswered points.
They played good enough. I mean, it's not really like it's like they didn't play good in the second quarter. It's
but
just
you put
turnovers.
You put those in half, those points, those 24 points.
Yeah.
It's an 18-10 game, so it's not like it's.
It's not like it's out of the water.
No.
It's just Miami after the first half just really didn't show up anymore because they were gassed, and that's how a lot of these teams.
They scored one touchdown, and then that was it.
And that's another thing too. Like the first week that people are not understanding why there's going to be so many high scoring games is because it's like these defenses are not ready yet. Their conditioning's not ready yet because they only played one quarter in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have to give them time. Because it's like, once you saw in the third quarter, fourth quarter,
they
score.
That's why the first
up,
week is always
like in the Baltimore
biggest
and Baltimore and Cincy and Baltimore. That was a great game going into the second half. And then once the third quarter hit, you saw Cincy came out. They had nothing. Gas left. They had nothing in the tank. And Baltimore came out and they said, "All right, we're just going to score on your ass."
That's why I'm honestly convinced that the NFL has to put these games, these preseason games, at least to 2. Because 4 is kind of a lot. They let the starters play. But those 2 is preseason games.
But I can kind of see why they do 4. It's just so they can give teams an extra chance to build up the rosters. I mean, you can't really take out 2 games because that's like just saying, okay, here's the third and fourth preseason game. Here you go. Like we're not gonna see the first and the second preseason game. It's for pretty much who's going to be a staple on the team, who's going to get cut, who can't make it. But if you take out the first 2 games, then you have the 3 and the 4 games, which the kids that are just got there aren't going to be able to make a name for themselves. The undrafted players are not going to make a name for themselves. And they're just going to get cut like that because it's like, okay, we already have our team.
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
like that's why I like the 4-game preseason. It's just I think they need to extend the regular season from 16 to 18 games.
Well, to me, if you extend the regular season, you have to shorten the preseason because it's bad enough these games take a toll on players, and now you got to play 18 games instead of 16, and then if your team goes to the playoffs, play another 4 games.
But you're an national.
Oh no, you're an athlete
you're
and everything like that. But you know how long it's going to take for someone to get used to that? Because now you played an extra 2 games, that you shouldn't be playing.
Yeah, but I just don't like the fact that if you're gonna extend.
But you cut down the preseason.
Season, I don't like the fact that they don't. They're gonna cut down the preseason because even though I hate 4 preseason games, it gives me a chance to see who's gonna make my team. It gives me a chance to look up that player because it's like if I don't have the chance to look up that player, like okay, he's gone already, so there's no point of looking him up.
But we're gonna shift over to the Redskins and Saints game.
Biggest upset of the week.
Yep, definitely. Everyone thought the one was gonna blow them out. Saints obviously can score. But when you have a dynamic QB, looks like as an RG3, then this team can definitely go somewhere. But they got to fix their defense a little bit. Although the Saints are high-powered offense at all times, so it's not like they don't score at all. Like I don't think the lowest they scored ever was probably like 15.
Ever since Drew Brees got there.
Exactly. So it's with the Redskins impressed, very impressed with RG3. Think the defense can do a lot better. But I kind of expected that against the Saints. So who do they play this week? They play the Redskins.
Washington plays St. Louis at St. Louis.
So they play St. Louis, another game in a dome.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, RJ3 shouldn't have a problem again. No. I just want to see that defense now go up against a Sam Bradford.
Yeah.
And who was the fucking wide receiver that they drafted? Is it Little? No.
No, I don't think they drafted.
They definitely drafted a wide receiver. I know that. But also with the Amendola and one of the other players as the wide receivers and the tight end, they could score, but it was against Detroit's defense, so I'm not really that. Washington should win this game by at least 20 plus, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
they didn't draft a receiver.
They didn't draft a receiver?
No, they drafted a defensive lineman. I think they drafted that defensive lineman that was played for Connecticut, Kendall Reyes.
Okay.
The defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they needed more help on the defensive side.
But back to RG3. Dude only missed 7 passes.
Yeah.
19 of 26.
Even in that game, though, with the Redskins and the Saints,
Mhm.
I mean, before it hit the fourth quarter, that was a 30 to 17 game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just.
It was
I
there.
mean, they scored 15 points, and the Saints did in the fourth quarter.
Mhm.
And sometimes, usually, some teams, if they have a big enough lead, like 37-17 or whatever, they're not really gonna play as hard
No,
because they don't want to risk injuries yet. I mean, it's only the first week, but you always want to play your hardest every play.
Mhm.
But
So, another game, New England with Tennessee. Tennessee's obviously not that great.
that game was just retarded until the
To
second
me,
quarter.
yeah, that game. I think Tennessee had like a lead at some point too.
No, they might have had a 3-0.
They had like
lead.
a 3-0 lead, and that was it.
Yeah, but then after that, they just.
It was
scored.
just over. Yes.
It was just so.
So Brady
stupid.
being Brady, Tennessee being Tennessee. Hey, Chris Johnson, you're real good. Never mind that. Is it sad that when Chris Johnson finished the game, I think what was he? 17?
He had 11 carries. No, he had 11 carries for 4 yards.
For the whole game?
I think so.
11 carries for 4 yards. How does it feel that Peterson had one run out of all his 17 runs, and he had more rushing yards than
My
him?
5-year-old cousin could have gotten more yards than him.
Chris Johnson is not good, and I think we've seen the last of Chris Johnson.
He came from East Carolina University. I'm not going to put anything down on East Carolina, but it's like, who do you play? You're not even playing the SEC. You're not even playing these teams. And it's like, I know people when they say, like, oh, well, if you're a great college player, you should be good in the NFL. No, because it's like, if you exceed in the big sky, what makes you think that you're going to excel in the SEC? Like, it's just, it's stupid.
Chris Johnson is a back and forth type of running back. Goes to the left, goes to the right, but they can't go head on.
Because this is the thing. If Trent Richardson, as I like to call him Trench, if he can't run, like if he's not going to be an established running back, that's how I know that that's a bust. Because he ran in the SEC for Alabama against all these great teams. And the fact that he can't make it in the NFL, that just amazed me. I mean, Chris Johnson is not a surprise. I never really thought he was that good, except for that 1 year. He had that one breakout year because I think it was like his second year.
It was the Larry Johnson type year.
Yeah, where they rushed him for like 300 times.
Although Tennessee, that's all they had. And the same thing with KC.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go to the Minnesota Vikings versus Jacksonville Jaguar game.
Most exciting, non-caring two teams in the NFL. I didn't care. Minnesota versus Jacksonville.
I loved it.
Shit, you ain't got me sold. Maybe buy me some pizzas and some beer, then we're fine.
Football. It was the Vikings too. Well, to me, Ponder looked really good.
Mhm.
Ponder looked really good.
I couldn't really see too much of that game just because I didn't get there until like the end of the third
But
quarter.
the play calling from Minnesota is terrible.
Mhm.
This is the way that you got an elusive back in Adrian Peterson. You don't run him at
He's
the
coming
right
off
time.
of an injury.
I understand that, but you don't run him at the right times that they should. And the times that they do run him, he ends up getting killed because they know that he's coming in. Like there was a time in the first and second quarter that they put him in there, and Jacksonville knew he was getting the ball.
That's why you got to put in the White Knight. Put him in like a wishbone. Him and a White Knight and a wishbone.
So, I mean, Blaine Gabbert was good, but I have no secondary, so I'm really not that fond of Blaine Gabbert.
Oh my God, that Hail Mary pass! I called me and James said that at the same exact time we were sitting on
As soon as he threw
his
it.
sister's couch. We were sitting on it. As soon as that guy or Gabbert threw it to who was it?
Shorts.
He threw it. As soon as the ball let go of his hand, me and James go, all right, that's a touchdown. All of a sudden, wham, touchdown.
Just catches it.
And I was just like, wow. I was in shock. Like I can't believe it's gonna happen again like last year.
Yeah,
like I
because
just
every
couldn't
year,
believe it.
every game last year, we had a lead and we just lost it. But then Ponder showing with 15 seconds left, going down the field and letting Blair Walsh kick a 55-yard field goal.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, but you look at Tom Brady, half of his game-winning drives are because of Vinatieri. 50-yard field goals, 48-yard field goals, 55 yards. I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady, obviously, but I'm saying that's one game-tying drive already.
Yeah.
So it's possible. But Adrian Peterson, good, successful game back. Thank God from his ACL injury and MCL injury. And it's great to see him start running again like that. Let's go to the Carolina and Tampa Bay game.
God, what a shit fest that was.
That game was horrible. That game was
Jesus Christ.
filled with mistakes, so many bad calls, so many bad play
That
calls.
wasn't even the bad referee calls. We got a game for that later.
And
Good God, this game was just terrible. Cam Newton looked like shit.
Yeah, he just looked horrible.
He just looks terrible.
He's trying to force a lot of things in there to Steve Smith. A lot of things. And I love Steve Smith as the next person. Can't wait to get his
I think
jersey.
him losing Jeremy Shockey just like...
I don't know about that.
No, because him and Jeremy Shockey and Greg Olson, I mean, Jeremy Shockey's not good, but it was a good bailout. Like him and Greg Olson on a dual tight end set, and then you had Brandon LaFell, and then you had Steve Smith out to the side, and then you had two of arguably the best two-back system in the league.
Yeah.
But you take out that other safety net at tight end, it's like, who do you pretty much have to go to?
Arizona and Seattle.
That game was exciting until the end.
Yeah, it was, and I'm glad Arizona won because of Fitzgerald. But yeah, to me, that's just two teams playing at the bottom of the division. I wasn't really that fond of the game.
No.
Kevin Cobb will now be starting. Kevin Cobb will probably get hurt within 5 minutes because he sucks. But,
Well, he does play against New England, and New England's got a defense, supposedly, now, from Skip
Apparently.
Bayless.
Well, Skip Bayless half the time doesn't know what he's talking about. So it don't matter. Now we'll go to the most entertaining game at 4 o'clock game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. That game started off with the worst officiating I have ever seen in my life. The worst. And I just don't understand it. And then it got good, and then it got even worse when Randall Cobb returned the punt back. How is that not a block in the back? Like, that was so bad. How is that not?
That was just horrible until the second half.
Mm-hmm. But Randy Moss showing why he's elusive, back where he is.
He had one catch.
He had 5.
Yeah, but one of them everybody noticed because he scored a touchdown. The other
Exactly.
4 nobody cared about.
Yeah? How about the other receivers? Because of Randy Moss that these receivers are getting open.
All right, Tebow.
What?
You just said it's because of Randy Moss that these other receivers are doing good, right?
Yeah.
It's the same exact thing with Tebow and Sanchez. Okay, exactly.
That's what the other. That's what
Exactly.
that's wrong. I'm not saying Tebow is the reason why Sanchez is doing good.
Yeah, but he is.
No, he's not.
Sure he is.
No, he's not.
Sure he is.
No, he's
Sanchez
not.
is doing amazing.
Oh my God.
He knows that Sanchez knows that if he starts sucking, Tebow's gonna come in.
What was wrong with what did they have last year? Mark Brunell last year and the year before that.
Mark Brunell's 42 years old. He gets hit, he's gonna turn into dust.
It doesn't matter. It's still a backup QB.
Still, he had no pressure then. They're not gonna put in Brunell.
Apparently, he had enough pressure to bring him to the AFC Championship game.
That defense brought him there.
Oh my God. Here we go. All right, Gabe.
The defense brought him there. Are you kidding me? The defense was top 10.
Okay, that's why Sanchez game-winning drive down the field with against the Colts. Did the defense score 28 points against New England to win that game?
It doesn't
It's
matter.
28 points.
It stopped Peyton Manning.
28 points.
It stopped Peyton Manning.
It's not as Peyton Manning as he was before, 3 years ago.
But still, though, he stopped Peyton
It's not
Manning.
his Super Bowl year.
It stopped Peyton Manning.
It's Mark Sanchez still going down there and making the plays. You act like the defense is stopping him, but then the offense is doing nothing. Meanwhile, the defense is stopping him, but the offense is doing something as well.
That's fine. He can do whatever he wants. He's probably one of the Mark Sanchez is a good quarterback in the playoffs. I'm not gonna lie. But when it comes to the regular season, 16 games, 9 of them he shits the bed. And the other 7 he does great in, but the defense has to bail him out in at least 2 or 3 of them, which makes him in a 10-6, 9-7, or 11-5 team like they
All
were
I
that
remember
one year.
is a game against the Houston Texans 2 years ago. Last year, I think it was.
I don't
The
remember.
year before that.
I can't remember their schedule.
They were, yeah, I know. They were up 28-7
I'm
or
not a-
34-7,
I'm not a Jets fan.
and that defense let Houston score all the way until they got 37. And then I remember Mark Sanchez coming back and throwing a beautiful pass in the corner of the end zone.
Don't get me
It's a
wrong,
game-winning
Sanchez has some great games. But then there's other games where it's just like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? And then there's other games where it's like the same exact thing you can go for the defense. When Sanchez has a great game, the defense will give up 35. When Sanchez has a horrible game, the defense will only give up 3 points, like that Green Bay Packers game where they lost 9-0.
I don't blame that on Sanchez because, 1, the officiating was bad, and 2, their receivers
I think
could
it was
not
working.
catch the freaking balls at all. They lost 9-0.
That's what happens. You have Braylon
6
Edwards as your number 1 receiver.
It's true.
Ask Cleveland.
But to me, Randy Moss will be the reason why the San Francisco 49ers will win the Super Bowl this year. So
Maybe.
there's no team in the NFC besides maybe Green Bay that can contend with them.
I think their running game is going to get with San Fran's there.
Well,
Not so much basically on their passing,
mhm.
just their rushing. They're a really good rushing team. Like the way that they have their rushing schemes, it's hard to stop them now.
Well,
I mean,
look at them.
you need a really big front 4
Mhm.
to stop them. I don't even think the Giants can stop their rushing game. Why? Because the Giants have no rush defense. They have pass defense, but not no rush defense. I mean, pass rush, not
Pass
pass
rush,
defense.
not pass defense.
Pass rush. But yet again, it's like, what game was it? The Dallas game? Every single carry with DeMarco Murray went for 7 or 6 yards.
Yeah, DeMarco Murray was on.
They have no middle.
They started off a little bit wheezy, and then all of a
They
sudden
have
just,
no middle.
Mhm.
But don't get me wrong, Randy Moss will be he'll be a good veteran. He'll be a good motivator for that team.
Mhm.
It's just whether or not Alex Smith can get him the ball.
What I saw was, look at last year, like the last game against the Giants. The Niners offense couldn't do anything because, one, they try to throw the ball almost every down.
Well, they didn't have a receiver that was as big
Okay,
and as outstanding as Randy Moss.
Okay, yeah, but like this is what I'm trying to say though. Like last year, they get to the NFC Championship game and they were a field goal or a fumble away from winning it. But you saw at the end of that game, the end of that game,
Mhm.
like the half of the fourth quarter and on, that all they did was throw the ball. They ran it maybe once or twice.
Who?
San Francisco.
Because they got away from their game.
They got away from the game. But now, with Randy Moss and Mario Manningham or whatever, Alex Smith, I feel like, has more confidence in himself not to rush anything.
Because who
as
were
much
their
as they do.
receivers? I think they had
Crabtree and Vernon Davis and
Braylon Edwards.
Braylon Edwards got cut halfway through the year.
Yeah, and then that's it.
And then that's pretty much it. I can't remember the other guys, but
Manningham isn't good, but he's a good third.
he's a good third one, especially to a Randy Moss and Michael Crabtree. Although Crabtree's not that great, but Crabtree's, he could be better with Randy Moss.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll go to the Sunday night game between the Broncos and Steelers.
Good.
It was really a close game until like the last maybe 5 minutes, 6 minutes.
Like I said before, the defense is just terrible. The offense played like shit. I don't know what Todd Haley was thinking about when he's making up these plays. It's 3rd and 21. Let's do a halfback draw up the middle, because that makes fucking sense.
What yard line are you on?
My 20.
Alright, then, yeah, I kind of agree with that a little bit.
It's retarded. His play
If you're
calling
not-
is so fucking stupid. I would rather take Bruce Arians, who we had last year, over Todd Haley. Because Bruce Arians actually let Big Ben throw the ball. We're trying to go back to a running team. Of course.
With no offensive line.
You can't run with no offensive line. I'm sorry. You need like a Maurice Jones-Drew or somebody. It's just so stupid. I mean, it's retarded. And last night, Big Ben felt so uncomfortable without Hines Ward.
Last night?
Or
Sunday night?
I was
like, wait, what happened last night? What I missed?
He felt so weird without Hines there. Because Hines was his bailout third down.
Yep.
Third down. You need a third down.
And
you
now
give it
they're
to
guarding
Hines.
on Heath Miller because they know it's going to go to him.
Exactly. That's why Sanders needs to step up because he
But-
sucks.
Mm-hmm.
He's terrible.
Peyton Manning, back to Peyton Manning of old. I mean, that dude is...
Well, thanks to Tracy Porter.
Oh, fuck Tracy Porter. He's not even good.
Because
Please.
Peyton Manning was like, I can't throw the ball against him, so let's just get him.
It's true. But, Peyton Manning's just back to old where he's shown again that he's better than his other brother.
Please, he's got fucking Stokely. He's going to win every game.
It's true. But you look at the receivers Giants have, you look at the receivers that the Broncos have, and Peyton Manning can make these
Honestly,
guys even better than the
I
others.
might make a bold prediction.
Why not? Fuck it.
I say the Broncos have a better pass rush than the Giants.
Are we going based off that, or are we going based off your horrible offensive line?
No, I'm going based off of not an offensive line, just off of.
Again, man, against the team you're playing. That's what I meant to say.
Well, not really, because it's like you got to think. There's really, really, really good big offensive lines that can stop Justin Tuck and not Human, Pierre Paul and all them. But it's like you got to think. Do they have any good linebackers that can rush in the middle
they have
for
no
blitz
linebackers,
games? No,
and they have no corners or safeties.
That's why I think Denver's got a better pass rush
Because they have better corners and safeties. Is that what you're saying? And linebackers.
Yes, because they got honestly Von Miller in my mind. I think he's the best pass rusher or linebacking pass rusher in the game. Not now, but he will be in the next 5 years. Him and Aldon Smith will rotate,
Mhm.
but he's just. I think Von Miller is more of a better a speed rusher than Smith is. Smith is good on the outside if the quarterback tries to roll. But if you want somebody to go in there, take out the quarterback right away, you bring in Von Miller through those, because he's so small, he can get in through those little holes.
Mhm.
I mean, when you have Broderick Bunkley and then you have Elmas Dumerville,
Yeah.
and then
Who's back now? So.
yeah, who's back, who didn't play, and then they got DJ Williams, who's off of his suspension.
Yeah.
It's just
It's Peyton Manning looks like he finally has a better defense than he ever had.
well, Peyton Manning's defenses, every defense that he's had,
Sucked.
he's made them.
They
sucked, but
but
he's
he
made
made
them
them-
better.
Yeah.
Because he kept them off the field.
That's how good Peyton Manning is. That's how good Peyton Manning is.
Because he knows not to score too early.
Mm-hmm.
There's some games, I think it was against that Baltimore game. Remember the Baltimore and Colts in the playoffs that one year where I think the Colts went on?
Mhm.
I can't remember what game it was. I think they went on to go to the division round.
Mm-hmm.
But I know they were playing against somebody along the lines of Baltimore. And I remember Peyton Manning scored way too early.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw the frustration on his face. He's just like,
He
"Damn
knew it. He knew it.
He was like, yeah, so we scored and
Yeah,
whatnot,
but it
but
was
on the
too-
sidelines, you saw him, and his facial expression was like, damn it. Like, he didn't want to score that
He took
early
at
because
least
he knew
another
he could
30 seconds off.
he knew he could pinpoint that defense out.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll go to the Monday night games. Baltimore and Cincinnati. It was a good game halfway through, but then Baltimore just took over like they normally should against Cincinnati.
And we'll go on to next week's games.
Yeah, and San Diego and Oakland that Monday night really wasn't that great.
That's why I said we'll
Did-
go on to the next week's games. Nobody cares about Oakland and nobody cares about San Diego. Sorry, Paul, but nobody fucking cares about Oakland.
It's not even that. It's just like they played horrible. Both of them
Oh
played
my
so
God.
bad. We were sitting there watching, so exhausted, watching this game. As soon as Leckler messed up that punt, we were like, all right, that's it. No more. We're
Gonna
not
blame
watching
the
it.
long snapper too.
Well, no,
'cause
I'm
he
saying,
sucked.
I'm just saying like that after that happened.
Yeah.
But last night we saw the Bears take on Green Bay. Green
God.
Bay showing that they are better than Chicago, and Chicago is not good at all.
No.
Chicago has no offensive line, and
Well, they never had.
they never no.
They're like us, but ours is 10 times worse.
I hate Jay Cutler because first of all he said
So what team did he play for? Oh, Denver.
Denver. What he said before that, he was like, "Good luck to the Packers secondary."
Oh, you could play man coverage, zone coverage, whatever you want. You're not going to beat us. Yeah, look at that. turned
yeah,
out.
like you barely
You dumbass.
barely
Why do
got
you
even
talk
touchdown.
shit on some other team in their own stadium?
Nope.
Are you retarded? Do it in yours so your crowd could at least give you some backup. But not.
But Green Bay took control of that game after it started off horrible. It was like 3-0 the first quarter, and I was like, God, this game's
Oh, it was like
boring.
3-0 the first half.
Yeah, something like that.
No, it was.
Was it 9-0?
No. It was 10-0 after the first half, but it was like
On a
3-0.
fake field goal.
Yeah.
Bears got a great defense. Don't get me wrong, but they can't be relied on all the freaking time.
But we'll go into the next
Sunday's games.
Sunday's games. The Giants.
Tampa.
I'm going to go right down the line, and I'm going to say who's the underdog, who's the favorite, and what the points are. And then we're going to go into talking about the matchups. The Giants are favored over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by 7.5. New England's favored over Arizona Cardinals by 13.5. Minnesota is favored over Indianapolis by 1.5. New Orleans is favored over Carolina at 2.5. Buffalo is favored over Kansas City by 3.5. Philadelphia is favored over Baltimore by 2.5. Oakland's favored over Miami by 2.5. Cincinnati is favored over Cleveland by 7.5. Houston is favored over Jacksonville by 7.5. Pittsburgh is favored over the Jets by 6.5.
I'm be shocked if that climbed a little bit higher.
Dallas is favored over Seattle by 3.5. Washington is favored over St. Louis by 3.5. San Diego is favored over Tennessee by 6.5. San Fran is favored over Detroit by 6.5. And the final game, Atlanta is favored over Denver at 3.5. Now, out of those games, which ones do you think, if you can give me 3 games, which one do you think is the most outrageous, outstanding, stupid spreads out of all of them? I can give you 3 right off the bat.
I can probably go with the Buffalo and Kansas City for 3.5. Is one of them. Philadelphia and Baltimore 2.5. And probably Pittsburgh and the Jets Although what Revis had now, I don't know.
My 3 is Philly and Baltimore. That's just outrageous. The second one I say is New Orleans and Carolina. I understand that it's a division game and Carolina's home, but how is New Orleans only favored by 2.5 in that game?
Especially
I understand
especially
they
with a
lost.
dynamic offense like that.
And then the third game, I think it's so stupid how. And don't get me wrong, Cincinnati and Cleveland, 7.5 for two. Like, really?
Especially a team that played a lot better against Philadelphia.
That should be
than Cincinnati
that should
played
be
against
three or 4.5. And the one game that could flip flop easily, I think that should have been. I think Indianapolis should have been favored over Minnesota, not because of the record wise, just because I think it's just Indianapolis is playing at home.
Indianapolis had a better team to play against week 1 than.
You can keep the spread at 1.5, but it's just I think you got to flip flop those teams. And then it's just that's it. And then so we'll start off the 1:00 games is the Giants through Houston, and then the 4:00 games is Pittsburgh through San Diego. So the Giants and Tampa. The Giants are home.
Yeah.
So what do you think in that game stands out for you as like a key matchup? Like
For Tampa and the Giants?
yeah.
Giants have to get back to what they know for with their pass rush and everything like that. And Tampa Bay's just got to play an A game to win this game, honestly, I think. Because Freeman's got to play amazing, I think, because he needs to throw to his wide receivers a lot more than running the ball, because the Giants can slow you down as much as they can for Eli to pounce.
Yeah.
So. And what was the other game?
New England and Arizona.
See, now,
New England
I feel like
favored.
New England will destroy them, only because, one, it's Kevin Cobb playing, but Kevin Cobb's got to realize he's got Larry Fitzgerald. So, and now with Fitzgerald commenting on New England, and New England complimenting Fitzgerald, I don't know, it's kind of weird how they're both complimenting each other. I really don't want to see Fitzgerald in the New England uniform. That's all I gotta say.
They're winning 4 Super Bowls.
Yes, they are.
Because no offense to you, but Fitzgerald and Brady, that's 10 times better than fucking Moss and Brady. It's just you throw anything up to Fitzgerald, he'll come
Throw anything
down.
up with Randy and he'll come up with it.
But it's Randy was I think
Randy
a
in
little
his
bit late.
prime or Randy late?
Well, but that's the thing though. He had him late, Brady.
Okay.
See, he's got Fitzgerald, I
In his
think,
prime.
right in the middle of not in the middle, but towards still in his prime. If you were to get him,
He's still in his prime. He's going to be in his prime for another 6 years.
he's just too good. He's disgusting.
All right, and now we'll go to a question. Black James, as we like to call him.
Always comes in the clutch with questions.
Exactly. He asks, will Peyton Manning beat himself more as the season goes? I think yes, because the guy just seems to pick part. Even if he can't do it himself, he knows how to pick part a team.
Yeah.
Whether it be the running game, whether it be the the kicking game, everything like that.
I say yes, and then I say no. Just because it's just, I think the one team that's going to give him the most problems is Baltimore.
Yeah.
Just because
they pass rush so much.
not only it's just you have Peyton Manning on one side, and then you have the Peyton Manning defense on the other side. You have Ray Lewis.
That's true. That's true.
Those two always have great games against each other. So
He also asks, will both the Yankees and Orioles make the playoffs this year?
the way it's going right now, yeah.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Maybe a week ago I said that
We switched to yeah.
but now as of right now, see everything.
Well, Yankees played
everything in
Boston,
baseball.
so-
A week in baseball can change just like that.
Oh, definitely.
Like
Look at the Phillies.
Jesus Christ, they're only what 3 games
Four
out.
4 games now. And he asks, which NFL team after the week is up will be a disappointment? If New Orleans loses, there's my disappointment right there. Or the Giants.
I'm gonna have to disagree. I'm gonna have to agree on one and disagree on the other because I'm gonna disagree on the Giants one. I don't see that pretty much as like a disappointment. I mean, yeah, they're the Super Bowl
But they
champions.
should beat Tampa Bay, no problem. Because Tampa Bay is not as good.
Yeah, but
Not as
you
good
could
as
say
the
the same
Giants.
thing for New Orleans though, because New Orleans like they should beat Carolina. They should have beaten Washington. That's the number one. That's the one I agree with you on.
Mm-hmm.
But like a letdown if they lose, I think it'd be Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying the Jets aren't good, but you're playing at home. You're playing against the Jets. You've beaten the Jets at home countless amount of times.
The Jets are 4-17, I think, against them all time.
Exactly. So it's like I think that would be the more disappointing.
Although the Jets have beaten them 3 of the last 4 times.
Mhm.
So, anyway, guys, that's gonna be our show for today.
Yeah.
We will hopefully see you next week at some time, probably around Wednesday.
Wednesday or Thursday.
Wednesday or
somewhere in
Thursday
there.
because we're both off. It's gonna be a fantastic week in football coming up, and Monday night game sponsored is Atlanta and Denver. I know John over there is John's filling in for our replacement Nick because Nick is working,
Yes.
but John's a replacement over here, and he is an Atlanta fan but a Jet fan in disarray. So we're gonna come back next week.
And he just put his head down for the Jets.
Yep.
So we kind of know which team he leans towards more.
So great week, great show. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully with a lot more to talk about and a
Yep.
lot more upsets.
See you later. Go Georgia Bulldogs.
Bulldogs.
Hey, I gotta represent my team. Gotta represent my team.
You represent your team. Texas!
Fuck them. They suck.
Yeah, whatever.
Reel my ass.